The O.J. Simpson white Bronco chase had to start somewhere. The suicide note that he put together on June 17th, 1994, it had to be written somewhere. Both those places are right behind me. I'm Tom Zenner, Tom Zenner Scandal, co-host of One Degree of Scandalous with the one and only Kato Kaelin, and we are standing in front of where the Bronco chase started and where O.J. Simpson wrote that suicide note. This is Robert.
If he wrote it.
If he wrote it.
But
this is Robert Kardashian's old house that he lived in. It was the hideout for O.J. during that crazy week, and another place that Kato's coming to the first time. So this is the last stop on our O.J. saga tour. What do you think?
I think it's, well, also you came up with this, that Ryan Murphy show actually used this house. And I think they had some scenes of me of being, I'd never been to, by the way, I didn't know where Robert Kardashian lived, but I had been to Bruce's house, Bruce Jenner and Kris Jenner at that time. But this is amazing that this is the house.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's really nice now. It didn't look like this years and years and years ago. We're in Encino in the valley. It's hot today. It's about 100 degrees.
100 degrees.
Kato, by the way, when I was on my way over here, about 5 minutes before I got here, I was getting a bottle of water at a Chevron, and I heard this accident and saw this thing, a Ferrari and a Porsche. I mean, it was brutal. But you know, the craziest thing about it, I called 911 because there was a bunch of people that went there to see if everybody was okay.
You're the only one that called.
Well, I was I was on hold. I mean, I couldn't believe how long it took me to get through on 911 to report the accident. Not that there's any crime in LA, you know. But that kind of took me aback. But what if it was something like life and death at that moment?
Was it death? Was it that
no,
big a crash?
It was a really bad crash, but I saw both people get out of the car, which is luckily the cars are practically totaled. But regardless, this is probably the driveway that the Bronco took out of and then headed towards Orange County.
So Tom's coming from a different area and I'm coming from a different area. And to come here, it's all these different streets that we're going, boy, back then, there was no Waze apps. There was just you had to have a map. And I was thinking that the detectives had to know that they said OJ's at Kardashian's house. It is so difficult to find if you don't have the Waze app. And we went through at least 7 different streets of 0.2 blocks, make a left on this street, that street, and we found it. But you could see that with the cops, how difficult it must have been for them to find Robert Kardashian's house.
Okay, so outside of this being where the Bronco chase started, Kato, where OJ, literally, what's that, 50 feet behind me? Somebody wrote that suicide note. A lot of other people who are younger watching this, that's where Kim Kardashian lived. It's where Khloe Kardashian lived. Kourtney Kardashian lived. 3 of the biggest stars on the planet. They were here in this neighborhood. Here's an interesting factoid that I found out about this is Robert Kardashian rented this house, Kato, a month before the murders. 1 month. It's not like they were living here a long time. So when OJ went there for all those events, it's probably one of the first few times he had ever been here.
Right.
Doesn't that seem crazy to you? They only had it for 1 month.
It's also crazy is because people said there's that one shot where he seems to be walking off with a Louis Vuitton, where you keep your suits in. I guess
garment bag.
The garment bag that he had, and they said, well, that's the garment bag that's got the weapon. But no, it was the bag. I've always said it's this bag. It's not a garment bag. So even in I think the series of Ryan Murphy, I think they mentioned that, but it was never the garment bag. He was just walking off with a Louis Vuitton garment bag, but it had nothing. I don't think it had anything to do with anything.
By the way, drop your comments. What do you think about seeing the house behind us right now? When Kardashian rented it in the 90s, it was about 7,000 square feet, 7,100 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, big house. It's a big compound. And this thing has been completely redone. We'll try to show you some interior shots of this as well. It's a spectacular house now. And Kato, the same thing is when we were in front of Rockingham a few weeks ago. I mean, these neighbors have all had to deal with this for a long time, knowing this is where, you know, history was made.
And I was also thinking that they shot the series here, the American Crime Story, that this had to be nothing but production trucks, and the neighbors must have hated it. But did you ever realize that everything that is in this story, it really revolves around wealth? Everybody seems wealthy, and even got wealthier. Well, not everybody, but everybody got wealthy as far as the Kardashians. You know, I don't know what the deal was with who lived here with Robert, but I had never been here, but I had been at Chris's house and Bruce's house, where I actually played at least twice. They had a volleyball net. We had volleyball and cookout. So I went to 2 of those, and yeah, and all the players were basically there. the Kardashians. Sydney and Justin were there. Nicole was there. OJ was there. And I wasn't the babysitter, but I was with the kids most of the time. And so everybody assumed he's the babysitter. No, I just love kids.
Yeah.
I'm fun to be around.
Well, kids love Kato. I mean, believe me, the way he interacts with kids is unbelievable. We are going to answer some of our fans and viewers' questions later in this episode. We got some great ones, Kato, some really good ones for you. By the way, if anybody digs up any data about this house that we missed, we're not Wikipedia. We're not trying to be. It's okay. We're trying to just give you a flavor and a vibe for this is where it all happened. When you played volleyball, when you would go over for those cookouts, was Bruce Jenner there? And could you, I mean, he's the greatest athlete in the world, 1976 Olympic decathlon champion. Could you see how athletic he was?
No, he didn't show off his athletic prowess, being the great guy of spiking that. Matter of fact, I think I spiked it on him. And it's a funny story, too, because after that time, where my name became famous and I got invited to different events, I was always a big part of Wounded Warrior. And Wounded Warrior golf events, Bruce would be at those too. And before he became Kaelin, when he was hitting off the men's tees, I would golf with him and we had conversations. And that's a true story. And he could not have been any nicer. I mean, you go to these events and everybody's friendly, and Bruce would just kind of look at me like, well, how do you believe kind of this what has gone on in life? And here,
by the way, luckily no news story here today. Kato Kaelin getting run over by a white
I got out of the way for you to get hit.
Okay, good. Well, hey, man.
Hey,
we'll do anything for more viewers.
I'm a team player. But so I did the golfing events, a few of them actually.
Yeah.
And like I said, nice guy, and no idea that he had that possibly wanted to be.
Well, think about it. It was already churning in his mind way back then. I love Bruce Jenner. I liked a lot. Caitlyn, I've met a few times. I like Caitlyn, but I think the story is so fascinating. We will get Caitlyn on our show. I can tell you that right now. We're working on a couple other really big guests, OJ connected. So watch for announcements on that on social media and on our community page. Kato, you made a good point about how everything kind of was wrapped around wealth. That was the backstory. That was the setting. And you're right. And I think the thing about that is it makes the story sexy, compelling, exciting, dramatic, I mean, all that stuff plays into it. People are fascinated by that. And then you weave in how famous these people were. And then you never want to lose sight of just the horrific things that happened.
Right.
When OJ was in this house writing that suicide note, that's 5 days after the murder. 5 days, right? When he pulls out of here on the Bronco chase, that's 5 days after the murder. And we have some questions that are going to be dealing with that, but it's still, you kind of get, if you follow the story as closely as I do and Kato lived it, you get a vibe here, right?
Yeah,
knowing that this was such a pivotal house in the whole story.
I always thought of the fly in the wall at that moment when Kardashian and OJ are in this house at that time, what the fly in the wall would be hearing. What do you think the conversation would have been? And I don't know if Kaelin was the one that actually must have taken him here, because this is where the chase started. No one knew. The Bronco left the driveway, and the next thing you know, the Bronco chase became history.
Yeah. If this happened now, we'd be able to track that car the whole way.
Oh, yeah. Or be
through security cameras or whatnot. Like the police could go back and follow its whole path. So,
or the car can get turned off now. It can have a switch on a lot of the new cars. It can turn the car off. There is no car chase.
So this was OJ's hideout during that week. Left Rockingham, Kato left Rockingham, and this is where he was camping out. So the plan was Shapiro was going to have OJ turn himself in, talk the police into that. He didn't show, and it was sometime mid to late morning on June 17th when the Bronco chase, well, it didn't start, but when he left in the Bronco, heading out to Nicole's gravesite in Laguna, and then...
And I think one of our episodes, if you watch, and some of you have with Tom Lang, he gets in depth of kind of the whole car chase of it being there. He said it was one of the worst mistakes is to give OJ, let him go, get out of the house and not turn himself in, where they gave him the opportunity to become a fugitive of the law.
You've never been here. You made that clear. If you probably would have been, though, if Robert Kardashian had lived here longer than 1 month.
Probably.
Who knows?
Probably.
But I think people find that interesting, that it was only 1 month that he had lived here when the murders happened. The other interesting factoid about Robert Kardashian is he didn't even have his law degree. Now, he had it, and it went dormant, and then he got it renewed right at the time of the murders. There's a lot of stories you hear about Robert Kardashian. you know, he died of cancer not that long after the whole saga, after the civil trial. And man, if he had lived longer, I think there could have been some fascinating revelations, because it really appeared like he and OJ weren't on the same page.
Right. I think most people remember Robert Kardashian for one thing, was the iconic look of when the jury ruled it. He was acquitted.
Yep.
And he has that look of being stunned. And I think that's it's etched in my head. I think it's etched in so many people's head when that verdict came out, of how many people watched that, and he kind of looked like, what?
Yeah.
So.
And if you think about it, you know, his wife was such a close friend with Nicole Brown Simpson, a murder victim, a horrific murder victim, knew about the domestic abuse that had been going on for a very long time.
Right.
So Robert had to know things, right? And
his ex-wife at that time.
Well, of course, yeah, his ex-wife. But, you know, they were raising the kids together,
right.
So they had a relationship. So, man, he's a fascinating guy. There's a lot we don't know about him. And it is just odd how so many people have died, you know, that were on the Dream Team, just people connected with it.
Yeah. Robert Kardashian was one of them. I think
Johnny Cochran,
but there's also Gerald. I can't think of his last name. He had passed away. One of my attorneys that did pro bono for me, William Janego, who became a dear friend of mine. He passed away as well, and that was like, he's the one that I've never been in a courtroom in my life, and he gave me direction and really educated me of what the whole system was like. And it's all because basically of William Janego, who really helped me at the time where I was just totally freaking out.
Sure.
How he met me for the first time, Tom, where he didn't know anything about me. So he went through a whole question thing to see where I was on this thing. Like, could I be part of something so horrific? So after meeting for about 2 hours and just talking, it was, I'm going to represent you. I'll tell you exactly what to do. You're a good guy.
Yeah. So what do you say we walk around a little bit?
Sure.
George, feel free to show the street or whatever, but let's give everybody a little look here. This is the gate. This house is completely built. Come over here, George. This is the action. They did a great job. Whoever we did, Kato.
Yeah, and it's for sale.
Yeah, thinking of making an offer?
I would like to. I feel safer living here, Tom, actually, because this has there's nothing that would, I guess, sort of freak me out and be so bizarre to live in a place like this. But yeah, I would love to here, and I don't know if they have a guest house, but I doubt it.
It's funny how one of the numbers on the address is not there, maybe to thwart onlookers. But George, show the house. Let's get a look at it.
Wow, it's gorgeous.
I got a vibe, Kato, driving up here, almost like the Hollywood Hills. The streets are really windy. It's not easy to find. It's not easy to get to. The thing that you think about, and let's put the house in the background as we're doing this, is what if you're in a hurry and you have to get somewhere? I wouldn't want to live in a place where you can't, boom, get to the grocery store, get to the airport, get to school, get to practice for the kids.
Right. Well, you're correct on that, but the one thing is, once you get out of this, these cul-de-sacs and these little turns here and there, it does go right to the freeway, right up to the 405, which is a straight shoot to Brentwood.
Yeah, this is in Encino, part of the valley, not deep in the valley. This is the edge, kind of more southern edge of the valley. Right. You can see if you look back there, that's the Sandwalk, or that's the San Fernando Valley right back there. Kato, you live about, what, 30 minutes from here?
35 minutes took me today. 35 minutes, so yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Is your place going to be on our tour? Should we swing by?
I don't think so. There's only good things have happened there. Only good things there, but thank you.
Maybe we should go look at where you used to live around LA.
Yeah, I used to live near you. I used to live in Hermosa. That's how I moved from Hermosa to Gretna Green, was all because of my drive coming up for a casting business. It became an hour and a half, and traffic was always bad. That's where I asked Nicole, who lives in this guest house, and then next thing you know, after talking to her kids and knowing I like this Kato guy, I lived at Gretna Green.
I think tell everybody how you first met Nicole, how that happened.
The first I met Nicole was that I was with a buddy of mine named Grant Kramer, a terrific actor, General Hospital, heartthrob. He did I can't think of the name of the film he did, but you can IMDb him, where it was a beach film. Anyways, terrific guy, funny. And we had a casting business, basically made some money. He said, we've got to go to Aspen for the New Year's. Left on December 26th, and it was, at that time, everybody was A-list, and I was a D-list still today. But the whole thing is, we went there, and he knew a lot of the people. He knew Nicole because he did celebrity skiing tournaments, and then their eyes met, and that was it. Now, we all were pretty much inseparable at that time in Aspen, became friends, and hung out pretty much the next 5 days there.
Well, I have no problem going to Aspen and show you where Kato and Grant were. I'd love to do that. I'll take that trip any day.
Let's go
Did I ever tell you what happened when I went to Aspen 2 years ago, 2 summers ago?
Who'd you go with? Not Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey.
I actually met our good friend Patrick Marino out there, and I was out there with Shonda, my wife, and we were confronted by a black bear walking back to the hotel on a cobblestone street. Shonda had leather pants on and heels. I was not in a position really to fight a bear at that moment, and I was laughing about it. And she was getting so mad at me because all I wanted to do, she says, you can't run away from a bear. Her dad's an avid hunter, and she knows all the wildlife code. I don't. Okay, so I was thinking, where's my camera? Where's my phone? And I'm trying to get it out and get pictures of the bear, the video, and she's yelling at me. We had to climb over this 6-foot fence. She did it in heels and landed kind of in this little flower thing. Thank God, thank God she's athletic.
But
they're just bear.
Climb.
This is a black bear on the streets of Aspen. It was crazy. It was crazy. Anyway.
I actually have been bear in Aspen, but that was from drinking.
All right. What do you guys think? Drop some comments in. Does this look familiar? Does it trigger anything from what you saw in the news coverage, the movies, the documentaries? Take a look up there. That's another beautiful area. George, show just how you got some elevation with some of these houses.
I'm surprised Tom hasn't already rang the intercom, the ring, and said, "Hey, can we have a tour of the house?" Maybe another episode we'll actually get the tour of this house. Can you imagine that? We could say we're part of the real estate team. Actually, I'd like to see it, but.
All right, if there's any other spots you think that would really be worthwhile checking out, let's get some comments going. I'll take a look at it and we'll evaluate it.
Well, I actually got quite a few comments since we posted on my Instagram page and you posted on yours. So many great comments. I can't read all of them, obviously. We have a time limit, but just a lot of the comments were, Kato, can you guys? By the way, they all love the show. Kato, will you guys interview like Mike Gilbert, his former manager? Kato, do you think OJ acted alone? I mean, I'm going to go through these names because I want to.
Well, here, we're going to get to those questions in just a second.
Yeah, stay with us.
Yeah, we're going to get to them in just a second. But I mean, we'll just take one last look here. And I think the craziest thing about this is whoever has Kim Kardashian's old bedroom has got to just think this is only in LA. Only in LA, right?
Only in LA moments right here. Only in LA moments.
All right, I want to thank our sponsor of today's episode, American Hartford Gold. And Kato and I are in the middle of celebrity scandals every single day. We love it, and we love bringing the content to you, and I hope you appreciate it. But there's something that you need to protect yourself against, and that's a financial scandal. Those are real, and you don't want anything that's going to affect your retirement funds. Inflation is real. Things just cost more right now. We're all feeling the pain of that, but our financial future is endangered by a host of other problems. Failing banks, astronomical national debt, and a looming recession. It almost feels criminal. This is a real issue that all of us are dealing with, but fortunately, there is a way to protect your hard-earned retirement savings, physical gold and silver. And when it comes to diversifying your savings with tangible assets, I trust American Hartford Gold, and you should too. It's that simple. Whether you want physical gold and silver delivered right to your door, or you prefer a tax-advantaged gold IRA, they've got you covered. And their customer service is top-notch, guiding you every step of the way. Here's the best part. When you mention my name, Tom, you'll receive up to $15,000 worth of free silver on qualifying purchases. Gold has been hitting record highs and shows no signs of stopping, making now the perfect time for you to secure your nest egg and help you sleep at night knowing your assets and the money you've worked so hard to earn is protected. So don't wait. Call 866-718-8939 or text TOM to 998899 for your free gold information kit today. Again, that's 866-718-8939 or text TOM to 998899. All of the info is in the description of this episode too. Protect your savings with American Hartford Gold. Well, I tried to get into that house.
I love it.
I rang the Ring doorbell a couple times. Okay, Kato, we're here. You're Kato Kaelin. I'm fearless. I say we see if anybody answers the door. And if they come out, you have a way of breaking the ice with everybody. You may have some new best friends here, but
I knew I shouldn't have brought it up that you're going to do this. I know this guy is so gutsy.
Let's try. I don't even know how to do it. Right there.
We'll see. We'll see what Tom does here. They're not going to answer. Maybe they will. We're going to hear if they're going to answer this or not. Maybe they're not home.
What about Johnny, the mailman? Is he around here? Well, I'm on camera. You see me. One more shot. Cool ring.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sir, let me just see if they have. Can you hear me, sir? Well, maybe they're leaving.
Oh, no, I think it's I think they opened because you rang it. If you want to approach it up there and sing,
Sure.
I
You stay back.
shot. Yeah.
You stay back.
Gutsy. This guy has got, you got balls, baby. You're like, you do it. And I love that. And you know what's so great is that we left and you just barely made out of the gate. Then we drove out. The gate opened again. Did you see that? The gate opened again.
Maybe
they
my
said,
motion detector or something.
Was that Tom Zenner there?
I was just seeing, if Kim was there. Kim? No answer. Nice house on the interior. We put something in the community page this week that we wanted to answer some questions from our fans and our viewers, and we got hundreds,
Yeah,
a lot on social media, on YouTube, and everywhere. I know you got inundated.
I got on my Instagram real quick on direct messages and even on my page. I didn't want to say the names of people because first of all, I don't have permission, but I appreciate everybody that had comments. And if I may, go to one of them right quickly,
Yeah.
if you ever, or just because I said I would answer this, and that was the person. Quite a few asked, "Do you think OJ was alone that night?" I go along with Detective Lang and all the detectives that it's so much research in this that I believe it was OJ and OJ acted alone. We'll never know, but that is just my opinion. And once again, it's the most investigated case in the history of any murder in the Los Angeles, California, actually, of having over 150 detectives along with the FBI.
We got a lot of questions like that on YouTube, and I'll just address my thoughts on it. I think if somebody else had been involved, we'd know by now, because I think OJ would have ratted him out. I think somebody would have talked, and on top of all the detectives and the law enforcement involved, you had a lot of media. And that's all they were doing, is digging for these types of stories, as we try not to get run over. We're going to keep this going to give you the natural feel. We've moved locations. So that's the valley behind us. It's part of the valley. Encino, Sherman Oaks behind us. If you are from out of LA, another country, we have so many viewers that are around the world. That way is Woodland Hills and Calabasas. That's where the Kardashians and so many celebrities live now. The Van Nuys Airport, the private airfield where all the celebrities leave from generally. Burbank is that way. The studios, NBC. Well, NBC's no longer there.
It's actually a media district, Universal Studios, Warner Brothers Studios, Disney Studios, everything's that way.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much still in the entertainment hub. We're sort of in the private area, the very affluent area, as you can tell by the homes.
This is suburbia. The valley is more suburban. And you can see it behind us. So let me get into one of the questions here, Kato, and this is a good one. And I asked people to put their name in there and where they're from. So Judy from New York, you had a great question for you, Kato. If you could go back in time, would you have done anything differently that involved this case or on the night of the murders? I know it's easy with 20/20 vision, but would you do anything differently?
You know what, Tom, I've been asked this, and the thing is that I can't go back in time. And as you know me, everything I do now is for the now. I can't change the past. I can only change what I want to do for my future and the future for everybody else. I always paid forward. And would I love them to be alive? Of course, Ron and Nicole, more than anything. Once again, I can't go backward in time. I can only live for this moment now. And that's the only way I could answer that.
Great answer. Okay, next question. They didn't give their name, but this is a good one. Do either of us think that AC or any of the kids will write a book now that OJ is dead, or come out with a statement? I'll give you my answer first. I think it's possible. I don't think it would happen until one of them is on their deathbed, but if they have something to clear off their conscience, I think maybe they would. That doesn't mean they were involved or did more than we thought they did. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it's highly unlikely while they're still alive. There's no upside to that. But is it possible that 10, 20, 15, or maybe fewer with AC Collins, who's in his 70s? Maybe. I mean, it would be fascinating because no doubt he knows way more than what we know he knows.
I agree and I disagree, and I'll tell you what I disagree with. I would think that they don't have to be on the deathbed. I would think people would want to hear from Sydney Simpson. Sydney was older than Justin. I think it affected her more. She was in the news actually when OJ was alive. She was on a 911 call when they were living in Florida. I think that she has a fascinating story to tell, and maybe she could educate and enlighten people. I don't know. But I think what she thinks she might have heard or anything, it's a book that people would read. And once again, will she do it? I doubt it. But I think people would be fascinated to see how losing a father and a mother and just her story would be somewhat fascinating. And by the way, those kids, I've said it many times, they're beautiful, and they were all about life, and they were always laughing. Sydney and Justin.
Yeah, nobody knows them now. They've stayed out of the public consciousness. There's no real paparazzi shots. You never see them on TMZ.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. All right, Kato, next question. How often do you get recognized? Is it a daily basis? Now, clearly, there's probably a different familiarity with you in your neighborhood as opposed to when you're traveling,
Right.
which you do a lot. So break it down for us.
Well, obviously in my neighborhood, yes, I'm sort of like Norm from Cheers, because I go out, if I go to the grocery store, bars, and I'm, hey, Kato, hey. So they all know me through the years, but they also know I'm attached to the trial. But I travel a lot, and I would say I will have a flight attendant always making a special extra peanuts or pretzels for me. I would say that in the airport, it's probably at 70%. I do a lot of the airport videos I shoot, and always say hi. And I'll give you a quick example. Last week I was in Costco, and at least 7 people said hi to me as Kato, and couldn't believe it. Did videos and handshakes and pictures with them. So I guess it depends. I think it's up to me too to turn my energy up. I can put my energy up to have be recognized, or I can have low energy. So I really believe in that. My energy dictates if I want to be recognized or not.
Yeah, the other thing too is once you are in LA, it draws a crowd. They want to know, who's he talking to? Who are they talking
Exactly.
to? It's got to be somebody. And then they see you, they hear your voice. And then if the word Kato gets thrown out there, then...
I was at a restaurant, very upscale restaurant yesterday. I'll promote BOA. And of course, the maitre d' knew, and I was with a celebrity or two, and we were recognized at our table.
Yeah.
So, and it was, and people would hi, and they came up to the table and shook hands.
Yeah, well, the name is just so synonymous with the trial and everything. Kato Kaelin. If your name was Bill Johnson, it wouldn't be the same. By the way, like when you have a common name...
I know a Bill Johnson, by the way.
Yeah. Well, no, that's funny, because I was going to mention, if you have a common name like a John Wilson or something, there could be 30,000 John Wilsons in the United States, and that's a fact. I mean, so Kato Kaelin, I think, is one of one. Okay, I had to give you this question from Wisconsin. Why would OJ be so stupid as to leave one of his gloves on the property? Of course, they're talking about dropping the glove behind your bungalow by the air conditioning unit. Why?
Well, first of all, I don't think he even knew that there was a glove drop. The glove was dropped. I'm sure if during whatever if he hit the air conditioner dropped, or if there's when he's with at the Bundy, if there's the fight going on, that something was lost during that. I don't think I think it just happened. And that became the biggest clue, and it also became the biggest catchphrase with, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
And I echo what Kato said. He's not thinking clearly. He didn't have a guidebook for this. I mean, it's chaos. Yeah. Something's going to fall. Something's going to get dropped. It's obvious that something like that, unpredictable, would happen. Matt from New York, this is a good one. Were you ever frightened by OJ? Did you ever see an intimidating side of him, outside of what you may have heard? But was there ever any moments where you were a witness to that dark, kind of violent side of his?
I never was. Do I know that there was a dark side? Yes, I heard. Now, I saw some of the questions beforehand, and I'm going to go just real quickly. Some of the people assumed that I saw the beatings of Nicole. I never did. I met in 1993. Some of the photos and beatings happened in 1989. I didn't know of their... I mean, I knew he was a person, O.J. Simpson, but I had no contact at all. But I didn't see that side. Do I believe there was an evil side? Obviously, yes. But I didn't hang out like people think I did. I had my separate entrance. I had a guest house. I didn't hang out. It was a completely different tax bracket. I mentioned I was donuts. They were Danish, and I had my own set of friends. So it was something I was not always privy to see if there's arguments going on. I think I answered that. I was trying to think of another moment. I think one of the questions that were on my Instagram page is, did OJ ever try to make you lie? And I think it was he tried to persuade me that he was in the kitchen eating his hamburger from McDonald's, and I adamantly said never was there. It was part of the questioning in the trial that I never saw him from that moment on.
Yeah, and let's go back to our episode 2 episodes ago where we were at McDonald's, where Kato went to the McDonald's in Santa Monica for the first time since the night of the murders, an hour or so before the murders. And you had mentioned so many times on this show that you felt that you screwed up OJ's timeline.
Yeah.
Meaning, you had that interaction with him at Rockingham. You end up going to McDonald's with him, but Is your thought that he was going to head over there and scope it out and use the fact that he was going to go get something to eat as the alibi?
I think that was the setup was he came to borrow money, which at first was hard to believe, to break $100 bill, which I couldn't. He was, I believe, setting up an alibi and didn't think I was going to invite myself. And I think this timeline was, all he wanted to do is that he wanted me to say, he came to my door and he went out to get something to eat. I didn't know it was McDonald's. I had no idea. And that sort of makes me think now, being here with you, that's probably why he didn't know where he was going. And because I said he drove around a little bit, and why detectives asked me, why didn't you go to the close to McDonald's? I didn't know where we were going. And so it all makes sense then, and he's like, was in deep in thought. And so he wasn't brewing like, I've got these thoughts going on in my head. It was very quiet, Tom. Yeah. But, he just asked me that. I was funny. My God, in hindsight now, maybe it was just, he was just trying to figure it out. Now Kato's here. How is this going to screw up my timeline? Mm-hmm. So is this all like I'm speculating?
Yeah, and here's another speculative thought is there could be a McDonald's closer to Rockingham. I'm not the McDonald's location expert.
Yeah, there was.
Okay, on Wilshire. But that McDonald's that you two went to is on the way to Bundy. It's not far. And maybe he wanted to gauge traffic. Maybe it was on his mind and he was automatically taking that path, and there's a McDonald's. Not much is going to be open at that hour to get something to eat before he gets on the plane. So that could have been part of it too. The path that he was used to traveling. Okay, here's one that's hard to answer. It's a good question. Where do you think the knife was disposed? You have any thoughts?
The thoughts have only been because of the shows that we've done so many times, and the one that shows sticks out with me is Skip Junis, that I think it was disposed somewhere at LAX in a garbage can there. That's what, after doing our shows, that's my theory now.
I don't think it's at LAX, and I think the only way we find out is if AC Callings talks. Because what did OJ and AC talk about on that long Bronco chase? I mean, or during that week before June 17th. So I think there's one guy that knows. I don't think he's voluntarily going to give up that information, but it goes back to the other question, if he wrote a book or if he spoke. God. I mean, if he did a pay-per-view special where he told all, this thing would get 200 million views, 300. I mean, everybody would watch that. Okay, are you ready for a great one? This is a great question, by the way, and whoever asked it didn't give their name, but I thank you. How much would McDonald's have to pay Kato Kaelin to say that he likes their food?
I don't think McDonald's would ever have me in an ad campaign. They would. I would love to be able to say that, but no. I just think in association it'll have of the murders the night of. But yeah, I think it's a great question. But yeah, that would never happen.
Never?
I don't think. Well, I'll never say
when
never.
When it comes to the OJ saga, never, ever say never.
I'm surprised you said that because, like I said, it's been 30 years. All the things that have happened in 30 years with other crimes, we would think back then, there's no way there's going to be school shootings. There's no way there's going to be a Vegas shooting. There's no way these crimes are ever going to happen. They're so far-fetched. Things that have happened in that year, it's like, are you kidding me? This is what it's, I mean, nothing surprises me anymore.
Mm-hmm. By the way, it's 100 degrees out here, but it doesn't feel that bad. We got a nice breeze. I lived in Phoenix for 13 years.
Dry heat.
I can handle this. It's not bad. There's no humidity. This is a really good question. This is from Sherry in Toronto, Ontario, and we had probably
much cooler there, Sherry. Thank you.
We probably had 15 countries represented with these questions. Kato, now that you had time to process Alan's question for you, we're talking about Alan Park. Go back and watch that episode with Alan Park in our archive, and also watch the one from the special saga we did around June 12th. Where Alan was on with Tom Lang and Skip Junis and Jill Shively.
Okay, Murray too.
So let's go back to that. When you and Alan had that fascinating conversation, because you were both there by the limo when he was heading out.
Yeah.
And he was acting odd, okay? So about when OJ said, you go this way, I'll go that way.
Yeah.
The question is, but then he kind of followed you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when Alan said that I got chills, remember Alan said he got chills hearing you say that and felt that OJ had intentions to hurt you. Do you think that OJ would have done something to you at that moment?
Not with Alan Park there. Had it been, possibly if I was alone, that I was the last one to see him, there's always that chance. I mean, it's a nightmare that I've had, but not with Alan Park there, and me letting him in and having a conversation with Alan, and seeing luggage out there. There's too much going on And I don't think I wasn't worried about that. Well, first of all, you have to realize I don't know there's a crime or anything. So I was just like, oh, okay, let me check here. So I just did my walk around. But I've always been thankful that Alan Park was there.
Yeah. And then when you two met for the first time on our show,
Yeah.
I mean, that was great. I mean, when you two finally had that conversation after 30 years, I know Alan really
What a great
appreciated it
guy.
too. Yeah, he's awesome. All right. I've enjoyed this. You know, going back
Yeah.
and seeing, I mean, some of it was kind of rough, you know, obviously going to Nicole's condo, but a lot of it's been really interesting, I think, for our viewers, and, you know, going over to Robert Kardashian's house today, because again, this little one house in the suburbs of the Valley of LA just played such a pivotal role.
Yeah, I want to also thank, I never, by the way, take for granted anything with our show, with the people, how kind everybody's been with comments, and believe me, it makes a huge difference. And I got to most of the questions, we don't have so much time. I didn't want to mention the names, but I know, you know, that I gave you a little heart and I liked your comment. Thank you so much, and keep following. Tell everybody about our show, 1 Degree Scandalous, because it really has just got leaps and bounds of how many people are subscribing. It's just been great for us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. Echo
that.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto. Hey, make sure you listen to our podcast too, because when you're in the car and you're looking for a great show, you may watch this on YouTube, but you're going to pick up things that you missed watching it. And I think being in your car, having a little time to kill, make sure you follow us and subscribe. Give us a review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcast. Follow this guy on social media. Follow me. We've got 2 huge guests that we're working on that have something to do with the OJ saga, so we'll keep you updated on that.
And I wanted to mention also, because I mentioned certain things, there's been other crimes that have happened. We're going to pepper in those along with other guests that we have mentioned we're trying to get. And Harvey Levin has a new special on Tubi also, by the way, about the assassination attempt. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's free. He's doing a whole special on the Trump assassination.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a guest on our show soon.
Yeah, Harvey's coming. There's no question about it. Support our sponsor, American Hartford Gold. They're responsible for a lot of this content, making it to you guys. So always support our sponsors. All the info is in the description of this episode. That wraps it up. Another great episode out and about in Los Angeles.
Stay golden.
Stay golden. We were at Robert Kardashian's house. Go back and check out the content of what you missed. Follow us on social media. Listen to us wherever you get your audio podcast. For the one and only Kato Kaelin, I'm Tom Zenner. Tom Zenner Scandal, 1 Degree of Scandalous. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed seeing where Robert Kardashian used to live, make sure you check out this episode where Kato and I go to the McDonald's he went to with OJ 30 years ago, and check out this episode to see how OJ Simpson got busted in Vegas.